Hello, it's me, Mayohosko, and welcome back to another episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Lego. This is podcast episode number 13. Now, this is the most special episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Lego because not only are we going to be talking about a very obscure theme that is Lego maersk, but this is the first time I am doing this podcast episode in the format of a private live stream. I am currently filming this on StreamYard because I thought, who could I collaborate with to talk about Lego maersk? And I could think of no person better than Zabadak, who is in some circles known as a Mr. Maersk, and I think of him as the king of Lego maersk.
Oh, great.
So we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. The maersk theme is very, well, as obscure as it is very popular among AFOLs alike, and Zabadak has the largest collection of Lego maersk that I know about. And as you might have guessed, Zabadak's favourite Lego train is obviously the maersk train. And we will be talking about things like the maersk train and the Emma maersk ship and the Triple E liner ship later on in this episode. And that is what Zabadak has more expertise with because he plays with that modern maersk sets all the time. So, just for a little bit of our backstory about maersk. And by the way, anyone that's watching can find all of this information on various websites like Brickset and the Wikipedia and Wikimedia. Links to all of those websites are in the description of every podcast episode. So, maersk is a theme that was first released in 1974, obviously based on the Danish company based out of Copenhagen. It was sold from 1974 to 2014. It had its own colour, maersk blue, and as you might have guessed, Zabadak's favourite colour is maersk blue. And there were 8 sets that were sold from 1974 to 2014. The first set in 1974 was a micro-scale container ship, and all Lego maersk ships have not included any minifigures. The 3 tractor-trailer lorry trucks have included minifigures, as well as the maersk train, which was released in 2013. There have been a total of 3 ships as well. The first ship was sold in 1974, and the last ship, which was the Triple E liner, was sold in 2014. So the exclusive color was maersk blue, and Lego had to pay the license to get the maersk blue color, just like how they had to pay TTX of North America to get the license to produce not only the TTX logo, but also the TTX yellow color of their intermodal double stack piece of rolling stock, which came out with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe train or a locomotive in 2004. So the first ship in 1974 was set 1650, the Maersk Line container ship. It had 220 pieces, no minifigures. and the hulls of this ship were prefabricated, and it was the first time we got those really interesting maersk stickers. And much like other Lego boat or ship sets from the mid to late 70s, they also included stickers for the anchor on the front of the ship. I am not a nautical person, so I don't know any of that terminology. Anyone that does know any of that terminology is free to let their thoughts be known down in the comments below. So there were stickers for maersk line on the side of the middle boat hull, and as I should say, with all of the maersk container ships, they all had. Hang on a minute. Yeah, they all had the bridge wheelhouse in the middle of the ship. Other container ships sometimes have it at the back, but all of these maersk container ships had it in the middle. So you had storage for 40-foot shipping containers in the front and the back of the captain's wheel. Then in 1980, there was the first tractor-trailer lorry truck, which was set 1651, the Maersk Line container lorry. It came with 284 pieces, and it came with a minifigure. And as you might assume, this minifigure was very basic. It had, if I can get my facts right, then yes, it had, hang on, yes, it had plain blue pants, and it had that red torso with the zipper and pockets and the collar. It had the classic smiley face, and it had the very rare maersk blue hard hat. And there were two maersk truck sets in the 80s, the other one being released in 1985, which was set 1552 Maersk Line container truck, and that one had 379 pieces, also one minifigure. Now, unlike the 1980 version, which was released in its own specialist theme category, in 1995 they changed it so the Lego Maersk sets would be a sub-theme of Lego Town. The minifigure for set 1552 didn't have any maersk colouring to it, because instead of having the maersk blue hard hat, it had a classic light grey cowboy hat, which is a little bit interesting. It had the same blue pants and the same classic smile, because as you might know, the Lego minifigures up until 1988 only had the classic smile. It wasn't until the Pirates line in 1989 where we actually got more details on the faces. And it also had the same torso that you saw in a lot of 12-volt train sets and construction-based sets from Lego Town in the 80s, which was the mainly plain blue torso with the white buttons, the white side pockets, and the white collar. All of them were outlines. Now, there are a lot of similarities between the two Maersk trucks in the 80s, but some of the differences were the 1985 version actually used the modified 1x2 plates with the ladder extension for its grille, and they used the same wheels. They both had two trailers, one of them, both of them being a B, both of them being a B double, because the front trailer was connected via a fifth wheel, but the rear trailer was connected via a tow hitch. The 1985 version actually had some pieces of cargo. So you had some of the builds for Shell oil drums, and you also had some of the 2x2x2 um, yellow container pieces that had stickers for cargo, similar to the same pieces of cargo that were in another set from 1985 in Lego Town, which was the Cargo Center. And you also had some blue 1x1 round bricks representing cargo that were on white pallets. Both of them had stickers for maersk line, but the 1985 version actually had some antenna pieces representing the smokestacks or the mufflers. The 1985 version had a slightly bigger windscreen, and at the top of the cab, it also had a hinge with a build for the maersk logo on some white tiles to make it look more aerodynamic. And the 1985 version actually has a build resembling where the license plate would go. Both of them had the classic light grey window shutters at the rear of each of the box sections so that you could open them up and put your cargo in. This similar technique using the window shutters inside of the window sill was also used in the 1982 set called Tractor Trailer, which was yellow because it had the Lego logo and it was a Lego truck. And it was actually that set, which is the reason why I prefer to call trucks or lorries or big rigs tractor trailers, because I like to call freight cars or wagons trucks instead because of um my memories for watching Thomas the Tank Engine on TV. So these two truck sets look very similar, but the 1985 version has a lot more detail. And from looking at various pictures, the light grey window shutters did not have the maersk star symbol stickers in the 1980 version. Now, moving on to the maersk lorry that was sold in 1995, which interestingly was exclusive to Denmark. It was not released outside of Denmark. This was set 1831, the maersk line container lorry. The main difference is instead of the containers being light grey, they were white. And the 1995 version did not have two trailers. Now, some of you guys might know if you've watched some of my YouTube channels, some of my YouTube videos about my Lego city that I like to use, that I want to make the standard for my big rigs, the 5 wide build for a cabin unit that was seen in sets like the Victory Cup races, also the Indy Transport, and I believe, no, it wasn't the California truck. There was another one. Yes, it was the Surveillance Squad. All of these sets just happened to come out in the mid-90s. Actually, no, the Victory Cup races was released in 1993. So this was the first time we were getting 5 wide big rigs in Lego Town, and the maersk line container lorry had that same 5 wide build, using the goblet pieces for the tops of the smokestacks. And finally, in 1995, excuse me, we were getting the 1x2 tile in front on the modified 1x2 plate with the 1x4 bracket snot extension that in later years would be the foundation of where you would put the license plate stickers on our Lego vehicles heading into the 6-stud wide era. And so, personally, of all of these different maersk lorries, my favourite is the 1985 version. And I'd like to ask Zabadak, which is your favourite of the lorries that I have talked about so far?
I agree with you. The 1985 lorry is better. I like that it has two trailers also in that set. It makes it more special. And a difference between the 1985 and 1995 is also the wide. The 1985 is 6 studs wide, and the truck from 1995 is 4 studs wide. It's just a remarkable difference between those sets.
Actually, I think you might have had that mixed up.
Yeah. But of course, the most of the lorries that I like is from 10219 set, the newest one, and that's the set where started my interest for Maersk. When I saw that set in 2011, it was immediately a 1.5, and when I got the package, I started that evening to build that set because I liked it very much. It's such a more realistic design, and I think that that also a lot of other people think the same. It's looking really realistic, and that is counts for the success that I think for that set in particular. And you mentioned the ships. Did you know that in 1959 Lego made already a ship for Maersk?
No, actually, I didn't. Would you like to elaborate on that, Zabadak?
They made a ship, but they glued it and they delivered it to Maersk, but it was also not in the official colors of Maersk. It was standard blue. And I don't know how exactly how much sets they made, but it was also a surprise for me that I discovered that they already made something for the Maersk company. And in 1974, like you mentioned, that was the first time they used the original color of the Maersk company. But
And so, yeah, and so something that should be mentioned about the 1995 Maersk lorry is that they got back to where the minifigure had a hat that had the Maersk blue. It was a baseball cap. But still, even though we started getting more detailed printings on the faces in 1999, there was still a classic smiley face on this lorry driver. He had a plain white torso and light grey pants. So this was actually the most simplest of the minifigures in all Lego Maersk sets. Now, that was the last separate sale Maersk lorry that Lego ever did. Moving on to 2004, which is not what I consider vintage Lego, because I consider the cutoff of vintage Lego being 2002. But I think it must be mentioned if we're going to talk about all of these Maersk sets, because there's a little enough sets to that we can span from 2004 to 2014 also, just to make this podcast a little bit more interesting. This was the second officially released Maersk container ship. It was set 10152 Maersk Line container ship. It had a whopping 988 pieces, and it actually has And on Wikipedia, there was actually a listed retail price which was 75 US dollars. It was released in 2004, and because at the time Lego had switched over from Lego Town to Lego World City, it was reclassified as a a specialist theme, officially under the title of exclusives, with the sub theme being both sculptures and maersk. It was also re-released in 2011 as set 10155 maersk line container ship, and the set designer Henrik Anderson stated that this set was originally a private shelf model before being noticed by another employee and being cleared for official production. This is this was the most detailed maersk ship at the time, because instead of using brick built hulls, instead of using the prefabricated boat hulls, it had brick built hulls. And unlike previous maersk ships or any of the maersk lorries, this was actually branded as Maersk Sealand, which is a subdivision of the Maersk company, just like Maersk Line. So, and interestingly, even though the top of the brick built hull is in the Maersk blue color with the Maersk Sealand sticker on the side, the bottom layer of bricks was in reddish brown. What some people might interpret this as would be of the barnacles that would attach itself to the boat hull because it's the section that was underwater. And the special scaffolding that held the Maersk Sealand stickered 40-foot containers in place were some reddish brown plates and some of the modified 1x2 tiles with the clip bar hinges. And this was also the first time that we were getting some inverted window pieces. That was also the same pieces that was used for the container ship in the 2006 City Harbour set, that were in the similar style to the aeroplane windows. This gave it a lot of detail, and it also has some orange pieces that are trying to represent what I would guess is a life preserver. So that there's really not much to say about the Maersk sets that were sold from 1974 to 2004, but there is a lot more to say about the sets that were sold from 2011 to 2014, and perhaps Zabadak would like to further elaborate about some of those stuff.
Well, thank you, James. Yes, of course, because in 2011 my maersk addiction started by buying the earlier mentioned set 10219, and after I built it, it was immediately that I want to expand those sets. But let's talk about the set itself. It's the locomotive is looking very realistic, and it was at that moment the longest locomotive that Lego ever built.
Because it was based on a 6x28 stud train base.
Yes, yes. And what I liked about that set is that they also made indeed a lorry and containers to it, and in more colors, a white color, the white one, of course, with beautiful details of the cooling equipment, and of course the standard gray, light blue gray container, which I liked. It is yeah, I'm not playing with Lego, I'm only building it, but it's also very a play. If you want, it's very playable, and it's looking good when the train drives on the tracks. And what I liked also is that they made a lorry tracker. I, I think you call them a lorry tracker. The-
What I believe that the tractor trailer in the Maersk train was based on is one of the is one of the short is one of the short haulers that you would use in a rail yard
yeah,
or a harbour to
exactly. Yeah,
transport the containers from the cranes to the tractor trailer lorries that would go out on the road.
yeah. They loaded to
So,
the gantry trains.
yeah, so that's why the cabin
Trains.
of the
Yeah,
big rig is much smaller than the cabins of the big rigs for the other container lorries that were released in the 80s and the 90s, because the one in the Maersk train was not intended to go out on the road.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, and still they have a number plate on it. That was a little surprise for me. You can see there's a number plate. I don't know if it's normal if they have a license or number plate on the truck, but of course Lego honored the designer by this number plate and his sticker with his initials on it.
And maybe you want to talk a little bit about the triple E liner to wrap up this podcast.
The triple E liner. I've not have the set myself because I most built at the minifigure scale. But I like that triple E liner very much because it's in real. It's one of the biggest ships that sail around the world, and it can carry more than I thought 80,000, 18,000 containers all over the world, and they deliver it to almost 113 countries all over the world. So it's a very big ship, and Maersk company is the biggest company for transport containers. But what I like about it is that the design is based on a real ship, and that the steering house is indeed in the middle. Um, and there are also a lot of details in it, like the rescue boats, the main mast at the front with a golden coin beneath it, like the real ships. It's a very nice detail that Lego made to the ship, and because I'm building on minifigure scale, and I haven't that set from the triple E, and I thought it was nice to build. I own a one on minifigure scale. I will catch it because it's heavy.
So overall, would you say that the triple E liner is that the Lego design is or is not an accurate representation of the real triple E liner?
No, it's a good representation of the triple E and maersk. It's a really good looking. Only what I don't like of that set is that the color of Maersk blue.
Is not
It,
Maersk blue, isn't it? Just
it,
the regular medium azure,
yes, yes, yes.
because they lost the license in between the production of the Maersk train and
Now,
the triple E liner.
I know there were some difficulties between the Maersk company and the Lego company. Um, I heard that from someone who knew exactly, almost exactly what happened there, and I can only thing I can say they are no longer real friends. The Lego company and the Maersk company. It's sad, but I think we can't expect more maersk sets in the future. I'll hope, of course, they changed their minds because, like you mentioned earlier, the maersk sets are really successful in the Lego range.
especially among AFOL collectors like yourself.
Yes, like myself. Yeah, that's why I built my container ship. Maybe it's interesting to see. It is the hull of a city cargo ship. Only I did something that most
Did
people
you
don't.
paint it? Did
I
you did
painted
you
the
paint it
hull.
in
Yes,
maersk blue?
I painted the whole maersk blue. It was a must for me. I wanted so badly a ship and with minifigures that I painted that hull and made a container ship. It can carry I want to four eight of the big of the the big, well, I call them standard containers.
I
But
believe that scale is trying to represent some of the 20-foot shipping containers,
yep, exactly. And I made what I call the half standard containers.
which
Yes.
is probably representing a 10-foot shipping container,
Yep.
which is not an international shipping standard.
No, no. You see them on trucks and trailers, but because of the size of the boat, I thought it was nice to give them also a place because yeah, the space on the ship is limited, and when I wanted a more bigger ship, I I must take two hulls and join them or glue them together. And that was going too far. Okay, painting it is okay, but gluing of cutting two hulls and made them one, no, that was really too far for even for me.
So overall, those are our thoughts about Lego Mask and a little bit of insight about why Zabadak loves the mask theme so much because of all the creativity that he has been able to do with his mocks about Lego Mask. So those are our thoughts. Before we go, is there anything that you would like to plug? Do you have any social media or any projects to come?
Of course, of course. I'm also on YouTube. You can find me very easy by typing Lego Zabadak or maersk Zabadak. Then you will find my channel on YouTube. And of course, you can find me on Instagram by typing Zabadak underlayment and then bricks. And there you can see a lot of mask videos. I think I have now 10 or 11 videos about my mask collection. And that's why I was also, it was also a reason to start on YouTube. I made a truck, a European styled truck, this one.
A
And
box, a box cab version,
yep,
a cab over wheels.
exactly. Yeah. And that's why I started a YouTube channel a long time ago.
So
Because when you are building at home, you're alone and you want to interact with other people. And that's why I started a YouTube channel. You can see here also more train wagons. I have now four types. The latest version was a oil train
an oil
wagon,
tanker.
and there's a not about knowledge about the Maersk Oil Company. They um, the company is sold to the Total Oil Company, and back in
Total.
yeah, uh, most people know them. The Maersk company got a license to drill for oil and gas. I thought it was in 1986, and then they started to with the oil company, but then oh, there was something breaking off. And then back in, I thought I wrote it down on the paper in 2080. Then they sold it to the Total Oil Company. But I liked it to do more difference, to get more difference in style of my collection. That's why I made such a oil wagon. I also made. I guess it's interesting to see. You can see here the standard container wagon from the set 10219, but they have a length, and when you got 3 or 4 or 5, it take a long row of wagons. So I made a between solution with a undercarriage in the middle. You can see them when you look at the internet, and I made a maersk version of it. I've seen pictures of it and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So I tried to make such wagons.
So there is a little bit of bonus coverage from Zabadak. You can find him on YouTube, obviously, and Instagram. So thank you for listening to the 13th episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Logo. Because of the little bit of bonus coverage, we have gone slightly longer than what we normally do, but it was well worth it to hear some of Zabadak's knowledge and see some of his maersk creations. So for those segments of the podcast, if you are listening to this right now, it might be best for you to actually look at your screen while doing so, because there will be visuals because Zabadak has his camera on. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Lego. Feel free to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button to be notified of every mayohosko upload. Be sure to click that bell icon so that you don't miss out. And if you want to see exclusive behind-the-scenes content, if you want to get early access to my YouTube videos before they get uploaded, if you want to see exclusive images, videos, and text that I might not otherwise share on my social media, if you want to get the right to vote on some mayohosko polls, the right to get some administrative control about what goes on around here, if you want to see the production value of this channel grow, if you want to become a moderator of the mayohosko channel, if you want to be in the chance to enter some mayohosko giveaways, if I can get enough monetary support, if you want to request me to do a review of any Lego set on the market that is under a value of 30 Australian dollars, as well as a bunch of other perks that I'm pretty sure I am forgetting about right now. One of them is that you can get the link to your YouTube channel in the description of every mayohosko video, and you just want to show your support and invest in the mayohosko channel, feel free to pledge me on Patreon. Besides the comment section down below, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links for my social media, my Patreon, and the mayohosko fan club are in the descriptions of every mayohosko video. Thank you for being my first guest in an episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Lego. Thank you, Zabadak.
You're welcome.
And hopefully we can do more collaborations in the future, because you are a really fun guy to talk to from the Netherlands. You have a lot of knowledge that I'm sure the viewers find very entertaining and informative, and I can't wait to do more work with you in the future.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So, Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of Mayo's Random Vintage Lego. I will see you in the next podcast episode, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching and listening, guys. You have been awesome.